President Trump stands to make his State of the Union address this week. The stocks that we'll be looking for, the strategies that you can actually take with options that have an extremely good percentage win rate, that, our game plan, our Forex trades as well. This is the Newsbeat Show. So, good evening again, ladies and gentlemen. We're prepping for the State of the Union address, and of course, as traders, we're here to take advantage of the headlines. That is basically what you do as a trader. You take advantage of hype, you take advantage of technicals, fundamentals, stocks that are going to move. We're going to be talking about this and more, and basically let you know how you could get signed up. But for now, I just want to share all the levels and a couple names we're watching. We're going to go ahead and do some option strategies as well, because they can have very big ramifications for certain stock prices. So, if Trump comes out, for example, and he starts talking about steel tariffs, obviously referring to Chinese steel imports, which the majority of buildings in Manhattan are made from. If you did not know, the majority of buildings in California and everywhere in America are used with Chinese steel because Chinese steel is cheap. And by cheap, I don't mean quality, I just literally mean the cost. Take a look at some of your children's toys. Notice something about them? Made in China. Not many of them are made in Korea or made in Japan. Made in China. They're not really made in France or made in Africa or any of the African nations. They're rarely made in South America. Usually they're not even made in the USA. But you'll notice that they're usually made in China, and that's because China does not pay its workers almost anything comparatively to a US worker's salary rate. They make peanuts in comparison. A person working in the United States of America, in McDonald's, you ready for this one? A person working in the United States of America, in McDonald's, working 60-hour weeks, making a $35,000 a year salary, that person would be considered wealthy in the majority of China. Did you know that? So everything comes in cheap. Now, there's pluses and negatives. But we don't need to get into all of that. The pluses are obviously you don't have to pay as much because it doesn't cost as much. The negatives are there are U.S. steel makers as well that are having problems. Because why would you buy a steel bar from letter X, U.S. Steel, when you can buy it from one of the various Chinese companies 30, 25, 40% cheaper? From a business perspective, it makes no sense. So here's the deal. I think what we could do is we could start making blanket bets on a lot of these names that can have an effect. Now, everybody has a good idea. If you don't, I'm going to share with you what are some of the topics. There's certain topics which are going to be hard to make money on. Certain topics such as if he mentions the fact that jobless rate has been going down, you take a look and you're like, what does that mean? Doesn't really mean much. Is that bad for example, like some of these job listing sites that help you find a job? If joblessness is low, isn't that bad for them because that means fewer people are looking? You can't really make heads or tails of a sentence like that, but there are going to be parts of the speech that will affect stocks that are trading, and one of them are going to be letter X. So we started talking about this one last week, and we were giving it to you right over here when the stock closed at $39.99 on Wednesday. Let's call it $40. It didn't really move much. It's trading about $1 higher approximately. So I guess our idea so far worked. But here's the thing. You have to understand how volume affects certain stocks with certain setups. So for example, if letter X has high volume on a setup like this, it's most likely going to explode up, not down. Why? Because the way algorithms are treating this formation right now is bullishly. Literally, if you don't know the way some of these algos work, and this is not an algorithmic lesson, they're going to be interpreting high volume as bullish. Meaning, if Trump says anything about tariffs for Chinese imports, letter X can explode on Wednesday. Do I think there's going to be buying into letter X prior to the speech? I think there'll be some smart money behind it, and some of that smart money will be us. So I'm going to go ahead and just talk about, it's even showing down after hours on Friday. That really doesn't mean anything to me. But I wanted to go ahead and just talk about letter X and what we can expect for this week. So for example, the $41 calls are $1.64 by $1.74 currently. If it opens up flat, it'll be closer to $1.64. What I think you could do in a situation like this, and I think I'm going to sort of want to bet on the Chinese imports being hurt. I think you could do a $41, $44 call spread where you basically buy the $41 calls in letter X, you sell the $44 calls, and what that's going to do is the last print was actually $1.63. Again, I don't know where letter X is going to open tomorrow. None of us have that crystal ball. It would be great if we did, right? And you could literally sell the letter X $44 calls for, around 65 cents. So pretty much it could cost you $1 to make 3. That's a good risk reward. You basically buy the $41 calls, you simply sell the $44 calls, and what that does currently, short of some massive gap up tomorrow morning, which no one can predict, is it basically gives you an opportunity to risk $1 to make a gross of 3 or a net of 2. And that is basically, I think, a safe way to do it, because what happens is if you do this call spread, and let's say X just pretty much is moving down, up, just sideways throughout the whole day, you're not going to get beaten up on this. You're not going to get beaten up on this because if you lose time value on the calls, and again, this is not an options class. If you don't trade options, you could just simply buy letter X. And again, I don't give stock picks or recommendation advice, and nothing I ever say should be misconstrued as such because I'm not licensed. But this is a trade that I'm going to do. Whether it's buying stock, whether it's buying a call spread, whether it's doing both, I have to do this with letter X. Why? Because the risk reward is there. So let me give you an example. Let's say Trump comes out, does the State of the Union, doesn't mention steel stocks at all, Chinese imports at all. You're not going to get beaten up. If a lot of hype is taking out of the calls, the call spreads are probably going to get you as close to a break even as possible, because you'll gain the time value on one and lose on the other, and it's going to even itself out. That's why I really like the idea of a call spread on letter X. From a technical perspective, it's beautiful. You put in this big bullish engulfing candle right here on January 23rd. You started digesting up. It pulled back, just missed the exponential 8 moving average, which is this yellow line by a penny. Well, whether you use an exponential 8 moving average or not, I have to remind you of the last time where it hit it by a penny. And that was on January 2nd when it hit it at 35.39 perfectly. And 4 days later, the stock was 39.67. Or how about right here when it hit it on January 10th and it exploded up the next day and then went sideways. Then it hit it again and held. Hit it again and held. Hit it again and held. Hit it again. Hit it again. Hit it again. See what's happening here? It's statistically showing that it wants to stay above it. And the fact that you see this yellow line curving up, we've also seen it curve up before, and that's when it comes out to the next level. I think I think we could get some movement in letter X tomorrow, just based on the fact that people are not 100% sure how the State of the Union address is going to go. I think this is a good. I think this is a good deal for me, risk reward wise. We have so this is the one I'm really going to try to jump on. I mean, there's also like coal ETFs like KOL. This was another one I gave you guys last Wednesday. I gave it to you guys at 17.98. It moved as high as 18 and a quarter. I mean, it doesn't look like the biggest move in the world, but that's how this thing really trades. But it did move again higher. They're individual coal names. I gave you guys last Wednesday BTU when it was at 40.09 and it hit 41.09 and closed at 40.91. Similar to letter X, it went up $1. This is my favorite of the coal names. I might look for BTU as well. I'm not sure if the options are good. Let me just go ahead and take a quick look. Yeah, the options are completely playable. You have $41 February monthly calls for $1.25 by $1.50. You can probably get filled somewhere in the middle there. Solid risk reward on BTU. So if you think the Trumpster is going to say anything bullish for U.S. steel companies or U.S. coal companies, I like the prospects of letter X and BTU. So keep an eye on it tomorrow on letter X. Again, the support will come in at 40.05. I will be looking to take a call spread as an overnight into Tuesday. If you want to know our exact timing, where we take it, where we're buying it, where we sell it the next day or the day after, you could be part of my alert service. You can email me at mark.melnick@t3live.com. I'll be happy to show you how that works. Okay, so moving on along, we have a lot of names reporting. So tomorrow, STX. Statistically speaking, this stock is going to have an amazing open tomorrow. I have one regret from Friday, that I didn't take an STX strangle, basically buying calls and puts, betting it to have a big up or down move. This stock is going to gap up or gap down tremendously. You heard it here first. Statistically speaking, I am putting that at around a 97% chance that this stock is going to gap about 10% or more to the up or downside. Yeah, like STX is going to have a massive gap tomorrow off of these earnings. It's not going to be one of those muted earnings. There's an extremely high probability. Keep an eye on this one for an intraday trade. There's going to be a ton of opportunity as well. For those in the room, you guys already know we'll be watching it, calling out trades in real time. Also reporting, I think it's at night, or is it after? Just looking. McDonald's is also reporting. McDonald's will be reporting on Tuesday morning. McDonald's. So we have McDonald's to watch as well. To be honest, I just don't understand. I just don't understand how this McDonald's keeps on climbing. To me, it's like amazing. They're having a negative 12.8% expected revenue growth. Negative 12.8%. They're expecting revenues of 5.26 billion, but their revenue growth is going to be. This is why I think this is a big one. This is why I think this is so important for McDonald's, because if people are expecting, their revenue growth to slow, doesn't mean it can't gap up, But it starts to look scary when the stock is all the way up here and you're saying you're not going to be really growing. The truth is, who wants to open up a McDonald's these days? I mean, I don't. It used to be a multi-million-dollar idea. I know this dude who opened up 3 of them along the New Jersey Turnpike. He's a millionaire today. And I spoke with him over the weekend, and I'm like, hey man, how you doing? Whatever, how's the business? And he's like, you know what, Mar? Still making money, but it's slowing down. People are looking into cleaner food, and the truth is we just don't offer it. He's not talking about clean like sanitary clean. He's talking about higher quality grade meat, organic. And I told him, like, write a letter to the company. Tell them that you want to start serving organic food in McDonald's. And the problem is at that point, then the price goes up, right? So you're stuck in a very weird situation in McDonald's. And I asked him, I'm like, would you want to open up another McDonald's? I think he has 4 today. He started with 3. He started actually working at a McDonald's with 1, opened up 1, then 2, then 3, and then opened up a 4th a few years ago. And he told me, like, Mark, I'm done opening up McDonald's. I just don't see it anymore. It's just not a good risk reward. So on that note, with expecting negative growth, it should be very interesting to see how they report. So they'll be reporting Tuesday morning. If you wanted to play it ahead of time, you'd obviously have to be within it tomorrow. So with that being said, let's get to the game plan. Still a little bit of a ghetto look, using my actual notepad here, where we have Pfizer to break out tomorrow, AbbVie, and I gave one bearish play, Wynn Resorts. And Pfizer is obviously reporting Tuesday. You saw Pfizer absolutely explode through the ceiling. I think Pfizer can break through 39.09 tomorrow. I gave you guys another drug manufacturer, AbbVie. I think they could go back through all-time highs through 125.86. And I was talking a lot about Wynn Resorts. If you didn't see this one, it plummeted amidst reports that Steve Wynn acted sexually inappropriate with women, I guess is the nicest way I could say that. So we were discussing it in the room, and the truth is, whether he's guilty or not, and I'm sure everybody hopes that justice will be found, whether he's guilty or not, or if he's completely innocent. My argument was the damage is already done. We live in an America now where we don't accept the same things we used to. This is a different America. This is not the America Steve Wynn grew up in. The America we grew up in was a lot different than the America that we're seeing today. I mean, none of our parents grew up in this type of America. And if your parents weren't from America, if they were here, it is much different today than it was back then. And the argument I'm making here for Wynn Resorts is the damage is already done. You can have it in every single newspaper and news station. All those women who accused him of sexual misconduct can literally come out tomorrow and say, we all made it up. And this stock isn't going to recover. This stock is not going to recover. When your name is on something, Steve Wynn, owner of Wynn Resorts and Casinos, when your name is on something and your name takes a hit, the damage to your brand, is done. Like, I could give you a million Hollywood examples. Who's going to cast Kevin Spacey in their next film? If we talked about this a year ago, you'd have people trampling over each other for it, right? This whole sexual abuse thing in America and the way it's been portrayed recently, which is, again, it's just, it might be one of the top evil things on this planet. What these women had to go through. And again, this is not a political discussion. This is talking about why we should short Wynn. And why any up move in Wynn Resorts from this point forward should be met with a short or put opportunity in the market to bet on it going down. And what I need you to take away from this discussion on Wynn Resorts is that the brand is already, the damage is done. Coming out and accusing somebody of sexual misconduct and coming out and saying, oh, it was all made up, doesn't neutralize the situation. It does not neutralize the situation. Coming out and saying somebody murdered someone and then coming out and finding out that person was innocent does exonerate the situation. Sexual misconduct today in the United States of America is irreparable damage. The finger-pointing accusation does irreparable damage to your identity. And I don't know how many people are going to want to go to MGM or Las Vegas Sands or any of the other multitude of casinos out there as opposed to Wynn Resorts, but I guarantee you there will be a number of them. There will be a number of people who do not want to step foot in a Wynn Resorts because people do not want to be associated with others that are accused of, in this day and age, considered to be one of the most heinous crimes on the planet. So if Wynn Resorts goes up, I want to talk about some levels in which I would potentially look to short, and I wanted to just do this with you real time. I'm going to just bring up the hourly here. By the way, Steve Wynn resigned from, I think he was some part of the Republican National Committee. He went ahead and he resigned from it. I mean, because honestly, brings a lot of heat, and he already knows it. And the truth is, he might have to step down from the company. I've seen weirder things. So I don't know how much Wynn is going to bounce because it plummeted hard, but pretty much on the hourly, you need to connect the 3 o'clock low from Tuesday and the 10 a.m. low from Wednesday. I'll repeat, you take an hourly chart, you draw a trend line on the 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time low, and you connect it to the Wednesday 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time low. If you forgot those levels, write it down. If you can watch this video again, it'll be recorded. And that is where I would look to personally short Wynn Resorts when that trend line hits. You might just get a flush through tomorrow through yesterday's low. There are a lot of people, traders, who are looking at this and like, this is a buying opportunity. Look, what fundamentally changed with Wynn Resorts? And I have a hedge fund trader who called me, and he's basically like, Mark, what fundamentally changed with Wynn Resorts? People are still going to be gambling on the casino floor. He said, nothing changed, Mark. And I said, you're wrong. This time you're wrong. This is not an SEC investigation where they send in a probe, the probe finds nothing, and the company comes back. This is going to be something that's going to stick in everyone's mind forever. And there's no coming back for Steve Wynn from this. Now, I'm not saying the casinos are going to shut down and go out of business. That's the last thing in the world I'm saying. I'm just saying it's a shorting opportunity. You're going to have, in my opinion, hedge funds who don't want to own this company because of that news that came out. And guess what? When they have large positions and they don't want to own them, guess what happens? Guess what they do with their positions? They sell them. So, definitely look out below for Wynn Resorts. So, went over, that's my game plan. We have Forex trades for those who like making money in the Forex market while doing absolutely minimal or no work. And you could go ahead and screenshot it right here. Again, if you're part of my alert system, you'll know exactly when I sell it. I send out an alert to you immediately if we get filled on any position of where I'm selling it. It makes it so easy to micromanage. I have a friend right now who's flying to Hawaii for a medical conference. He's a doctor, and he's already there. And he took one of our last Forex trades, and he signed up for my alert system. And he said, Mark, He literally sent me a picture, and he said, Mark, this is where I'm trading Forex right now. I got your alert. I went ahead and I closed out my position. And he says it paid for 20 years of the alert service. I went ahead and I left because that was just absolutely hilarious. But at the same time, in all honesty, he's a multimillionaire and he's trading with bigger size. So there's that as well. But with that being said, here are the Forex trades if you wish to copy them. You get buy or sell. You get the size, you get the symbol, you get the price, you get the stop loss, you get the take profit level. What you don't get is me showing you a formation that I caught and say, look guys, this is where I made money. Thank you, Captain Hindsight. Hey guys, this is a buy and you could have just kept riding it up for 10 candlesticks. Thank you, Captain Hindsight. This is no Captain Hindsight. This is just literally my orders. I'm not explaining to you even how I did them, which is funny because there's actually a trendline course showing how I did them. And if you wish to take that course, it's the cheapest educational course available in T3. I specifically designed it that way so more people could take him. I also believe that's why it's not being marketed so well, because it costs money to market and it's a very inexpensive course. If you're interested in the course, it's Mark Melnick's Trendline course. You can email me, mark.melnick@t3live.com, and I'll show you how to learn it. I've gotten such rave reviews from you guys on the course, and that's what made it all worthwhile for me. So there are my Forex trades. You can hit print screen right now if you wish to copy. We have the State of the Union. We have a lot of earnings next week. I'm very pumped and excited to trade. I hope you guys enjoyed the Newsbeat Show. Happy trading, make money. We'll see you guys tomorrow on the Newsbeat Live trading broadcast. Have a wonderful evening.